Good evening and welcome to the April 18th Humboldt City Council proceedings. Would you please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open the meeting with a roll call, please, Gloria.
Goodell.
Here.
Slater.
Here.
Vermeer.
Here.
Rusher.
Aye.
Davis.
Here. Mostly.
The first item on the agenda this evening is the consent agenda. I'll read the first few, and if there's anyone that would like to pull any of those three items out for further discussion, we will take care of that. Number one is approve the agenda as printed. Number two, approve the minutes of the April 4th, 2016 regular council meeting. And the third item is approve the minutes of the April 4th, 2016 council workshop. Any questions on those items, guys? Motion by Darrell,
Second.
seconded by Joel, to approve the, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Under communications this evening, folks in attendance, is there any public input on any matter? Or nothing of that. Chamber of Commerce annual event, have anything on
You want
that?
me to-
Go ahead.
Um,
Trish.
The Chamber's annual event is Thursday,
Oh,
April
sure.
28th from 11:30 to 1. The council is invited to attend, and so and council and mayor. So if any of you would like to go, just let me know, and we'll get you a ticket.
Mhm. They're having a, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's at Orchard Hall at the River Valley Winery out there, and there's a speaker, Brenda Clark Hamilton, and there's lunch included as well. And there was an invitation in your packet, so
Yep.
if you would like to attend, just let me know.
Okay. People Service Monthly Report, I don't see Clint is here in attendance this evening, I don't know, there was
He's out
a,
of town.
he's out of town, okay. There is actually, his printouts were available in our packet, if anyone had a chance to look that over.
Do you know why I was looking at the BOT effluent, why that's so high in January compared,
Which number?
The BOD,
this one right here? From January down to, do you have any idea why that's so high?
Is that influent?
Yeah.
Is that when we had the 7-inch rain in January? I think it
Could've
was, Jim.
That's BOD, yeah. Is that,
That, I think we talked about that or brought that up before.
Okay.
You
I
know,
was just
with the
curious.
manholes taking water and everything else, you know, that, the sanitary manholes.
that's why there's such
That's why there's such
a large number
A
of
large
treated
number.
water rather
well,
versus
that
pumped water.
shows here.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what infiltration into the system, is that would explain that?
No, the
system?
infiltration is the influent.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, your infiltration is your
right,
old system that's acting like a tile system,
Exactly.
basically.
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
I'll check and verify.
Yeah, because you wouldn't typically see your VOD peak with rain.
Yeah,
We would-
it's more it's the BOD.
Because
that
that's more on the potency, really.
Right.
Because
stuff in it.
you'll see real raw.
Right.
You'll have
So I didn't know
high-
if we have somebody
What's the
that's
price?
pre-treating or something that didn't or something,
Yeah, you could get some peak there. Or took it at that opportune
because I
time.
think it looks like it's like a permitted level.
It'd be pretty
I'll
good.
get it. I'm just curious. Because then it dropped like a rock, so.
Mm-hmm, I noticed.
Yeah.
Might have been that, would it have anything to do with the digester cover?
No, no, it shouldn't on your influent.
Yeah.
It'd be real interesting to see when he took it, you know, what time of day, if it was a different time of day, or if it was a certain day of the week, that if you see some anomaly there, would maybe, then you'd wanna look at one of your, larger industrial
Right.
use or something like that, but
Right.
good question, I think it's a good question to
Mhm.
just ask Clint. See when he took it, if it's a different time.
I did read that the DNR was here this last month on the 11th, and they discussed that and evaluate lead and copper protection measures, and our plan is in good shape. There's no issues that they were concerned about at that time. See, there's just some other issues going on down there. Even though we supposedly have a new plant, we're still operating with a lot of old infrastructure down there at the new plant, are we not?
And one of them in particular is the silver, I believe, is addressed in there as well, correct? That's a newer thing that we're trying to work through, that the DNR, I don't know that they even have requirements established, or the requirements for drinking water is
That's
less
the-
stringent than wastewater outflow.
Yes, that's the confusing part.
Wow.
Yeah, your drinking water standard is less stringent than your wastewater effluent. And it's just really what it affects, you know. It doesn't affect a human as much, you know, larger than it actually in your stream.
Affects the fish.
Yeah.
Fish don't like it.
Which is kind of confusing.
The
You sit there
Topeka
going,
shine.
I can drink it, but, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But I think we've actually put a letter together to the DNR in regards to that.
Yes.
And Courtney's gonna do some additional testing on that to see if he can identify the specific location. The one thing is, you do have silver in your raw water too,
Right.
that you're pulling, so then it can be kind of a.
Which is okay. It's
Yeah.
below our permissible levels.
But if you're pulling that out through your treatment, and then it's going to the wastewater plant, are you getting higher concentrated levels that then are throwing you off? So I think he's really working through that right now.
Mhm.
Right.
Any other questions we'd like Travis to follow up with Clint on, anything?
Is anything to involve with Calhoun County and the city of Des Moines suing now over have you heard anything on that more?
No, not anything major. I'm a little bit involved with it. There's an engineer in my office that's a drainage district engineer for a couple of those counties. But nothing coming together major that's really getting things progressing. But I would say, I think IDALS, Iowa Department of Ag Land Stewardship, and DNR are taking an active role in promoting water quality improvements. I think that'll be a benefit for our communities, that there might be a pool of funding to do, you know, water quality improvements. You know, your retention basin out at the business park, that's a water quality feature. And there's other things that can be done to do that. So, honestly, is there anything that's gonna come about that's gonna be straight up? It's hard to tell at this point.
Okay, moving on, there's a public hearing, this being the time and place for the scheduled public hearing on the proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost of the 2016 water main exposure project. I will open the meeting, public hearing meeting at 5:39 PM. First item on there is to review the proposed project and bids received.
I got copies of the bid tab.
David, do you know Jim Vermeer? He's
Yeah,
a-
yep,
Okay,
I know
good,
Jim
good, I
Vermeer.
thought you probably did, he's our,
And Jim, you have one of my cards, don't you?
Yep,
Okay.
he's one of our newly elected officials, I didn't know if you knew him.
we worked on
Oh, the retention,
Yeah.
okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, this wasn't a great big project by any means, but if you guys remember, this is the one, and here are the original bids, 2 original signed copies of the bid tab, if anybody ever asked. So this was, the original project was when there was the erosion area, right north, or south of the bridge. There was an area of the water main that was exposed, and FEMA provided some money to, what they initially wanted to do was just to protect that water line and redo that bank. What we came back with is actually cheaper, because you're gonna have to work on that active water main. It's gonna be tough to, you know, put in the riprap over top of that. And we were still gonna have old infrastructure out in the edge of the river. Not anything that we really wanted. So they were actually able to, we were able to prove to them that it was gonna be cheaper to reroute that line away from the bank, get us some protection there, and then we would redo the bank there. So they had provided funding for this project. Do you remember what the amount was?
100,000.
It was 100,000, okay. So, we put plans and specifications together on this project, and we let that on last Thursday. We received 3 bids. Henniger Construction out of Clarion, Wunsch Construction out of Greene, Denver Underground out of Denver, Iowa. Well, I'll start with the highest, which was our estimate. Our estimate was 72,867. Denver Underground was, our Wunsch was the next one, which was $69,687.10. Denver Underground was $64,084, and Henniger Construction was the low bid at $55,487.73. If you do notice, there's an item that is crossed out. There was an anomaly in their bid. What we do is our bids are all based off of the unit price. So whatever they provide for unit price, we actually plug in. They do the math themselves, and there was just one incorrect amount that they had included, and it actually lowered it $80.63, so it's slightly lower. So Henniger Construction is low. I'm currently working on a project with them in Goldfield right now. They're doing a sanitary sewer project, sanitary sewer extension, and doing a fine job. And they will, I would definitely recommend going with them for the $55,487.73. Any other questions on the bids? It's
I think
always
this
nice
is-
when we're the high ones.
Yeah.
And you can see they were significantly
On the water
lower.
plant.
Yeah.
Did you have a 30% contingency in there?
No, I had a 10% contingency, and that's actually above. They don't see when I bid a project, they see when we have an estimate and we disclose the estimate, it's always our estimate without contingency added on. So they see that it's 73.
What are the resource difference between crushed stone, where they have to haul it from, in the bids?
What was your question?
I'm just curious why there's so much difference in some of these prices. I mean, even though they're the lower estimate, like say the crushed stone base, for the amounts, $9,359 for Henniger's versus $4,268.85 for Wunsch. I'm just curious why there were so much, they're still the lower bid, but is it just is it where they gotta get it from, hauling, or?
It varies. Sometimes that's the point, is that they have a readily available source, and
Okay.
that's great, you know.
Okay.
And also a big thing, you can see the closest one to us is definitely Henniger. So they might have a good borrow source that they have right away, so that gives them some ability there. And the other thing that sometimes they bury in some of those prices too, one thing to think about is the fact that that sometimes there's profit built in, and they build it into different items. And just, it is the case, you know, they think that one of the items is one of their major focuses. And you can see they really, the big difference being, Henniger really beat them up on mold, which makes
Like
sense,
mobilization.
you know.
Okay,
I
fair enough.
Stuff here in town.
What?
I'm already in town.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And you are, sir?
I'm Al Henniger from Henniger Construction.
Okay, glad you could join us this evening.
Thank you.
Any further comments from the mayor or from myself or the council at all, or, yeah, do I want to hear? I think I'm good.
I think I'm fine.
Okay. Any written comments or objections, Gloria?
Nope, none were received.
Okay. And there's no comments or objections from the general public in attendance this evening, so, okay. There being no more comments or objections to the proposed plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimated costs of the 2016 water main exposure project, I will close the public hearing at 5:47 p.m. I think that is it. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
The next order of business is just to discuss the composition of the Historic Preservation Board.
So city staff, along with a few members of the council, have been approached by members of the Historic Preservation Commission, and they have indicated that they'd like to go from their current membership of 5 to 7. It was relayed to them that by increasing your membership by 2, their thoughts was it would make their meetings easier to hold because of the numbers that they have, it's hard for them to get a quorum. It was relayed that when you increase your membership, it also increases the number necessary for a quorum. With that being said, they still wanted to move forward.
And they have two real good candidates that want to be on the board at this
Yes.
point, and candidates that stick around during the winter. A lot of their people leave for the winter, and then when they have a meeting, they can't get a quorum there. Well, these two gentlemen that, you know, offered their services anyway, they don't go anywhere in the winter, so they're around. So that's what was brought up to me anyway, Travis.
They do have 2 individuals that they have in mind. So it's not like we'd be expanding and then having vacant seats immediately, but I did say immediately. That's not to say that they don't lose a member or 2, and when that happens, they still have that same quorum of 4 at this time versus the 3 that they would have. So basically opening it up to the council for discussion, and ultimately it's your decision, because the city has to change city code that describes what the Historic Preservation Commission looks like.
Fine with me if they do that. I think if that's what they need, go ahead and do it.
Yeah. And there's no formal action needed,
Yeah.
but just direction.
That's my idea.
You guys are okay with that, okay.
Okay. Get an ordinance drafted and on for later formal action.
Okay, great. Next item is the resolutions. We need a motion to approve the following proposed resolution, number 2016-27, a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an amendment to the purchase, sale, and development agreement with Birdie and Son Limited.
I was approached by a representative of Birdie and Son Construction that the city had entered into the developer's agreement for an area, we'll call it Christie Circle. It basically eliminated that platted street, subdivided into 3 lots.
I think 3.
Yeah,
Yep.
3 lots for development. In the developer's agreement, there's verbiage that says that the developer shall allow no mortgages or liens to encumber the Christie Circle property while the city holds its reversionary right. The reversionary right was if there were not homes developed on it, we could withdraw from the developer's agreement.